There must be war. God wills it!
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Unpopular Opinion. And guys, today I am going to be counting down the top 3 greatest movies about the American Civil War. Now guys, I usually do top 5 greatest things when I'm doing lists, but unfortunately, Hollywood doesn't really pay that much attention to the American Civil War, and there's not really a wide selection of excellent Civil War movies. And Orson Welles very famously said that Civil War films can be box office poison. So I'm just gonna be counting down my top 3 because there's not a lot of great Civil War films in my opinion. So these 3 are going to be my top 3 favorites. But before we get into the video itself, guys, we are going to play a little game today. If you stick around until the end of the video, I'm going to be playing like a really small 5-minute clip from a random movie. If you can guess successfully the name of that movie, and if you're the first person to do it, I will pin you to the top of the comments and give you a shout out in the next video. So all you got to do, stick around to the end of the video, watch the last 5 seconds of the video, identify the movie that it comes from, and you win. But also, be sure to include the full title. So, random non-specific example. Let's say it's from a Pirates of the Caribbean movie. You can't just say Pirates of the Caribbean. You have to say the full movie. Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, or Star Wars Return of the Jedi, something like that. Those are the rules, so let's just get right into the video. Coming in at number 3, we have the 2016 movie, Free State of Jones.
Ain't no different shooting a bird or a deer, Daniel. No different than that. Right?
So, Free State of Jones stars Matthew McConaughey, and it tells the story of real-life Southern Unionist Newton Knight. He was a former Confederate soldier who led a rebellion against the Confederacy in the county of Jones in Mississippi.
Who you with? Mississippi 5th. F Company. We all that's left.
So first of all, the movie is from the Confederate point of view, or at least initially from the Confederate point of view, because like I said, Newton Knight was a Confederate soldier. He was fighting, and his nephew gets killed in battle, and that was the last straw for him. He deserts, he goes back to his home, and then after being wanted and being hunted down for deserting, he teams up with runaway slaves and fellow deserters and fellow people who have grievances against the Confederacy, and they decide to fight back. Now, what I like about this movie is it's an interesting point of view, because I always love when war movies take the point of view and the perspective of the enemy. That's why films like Letters from Iwo Jima or All Quiet on the Western Front are very, very interesting. This takes the point of view of the Confederacy, but it also gives us a real-life hero, a real-life person who actually did something incredible. And then it also touches upon Reconstruction a little bit, because when the war is over and the movie's not over, it talks about Reconstruction, how blacks had to adjust to their new life, to their new society. Even though slavery's over, they still had a very long way to go. And it's just a really good movie with great performances. I truly love the opening battle sequences. And here's the thing about Civil War films. Like I've said this in the beginning, there's not a lot of great Civil War movies that are out there, but of the most iconic Civil War movies, a lot of them show the Civil War as like a bloodless affair. And what I mean by that is you'll see what looks like reenactors shooting at each other. It looks like people are videotaping a reenactment, and then you'll see people firing, and then, oh, they're just falling over, but there's no blood, there's no gore. This movie's very bloody, very gory, very graphic, in a very realistic way. So you see the devastation that the cannons can cause, what rifled muskets can do, and I really love that. The opening battle, when they're running through the trench, and they're trying to avoid the sharpshooters, that was really, really cool.
You got sharpshooters out there.
And then the rebellion against the Confederacy. And there's the fact that Matthew McConaughey is a very good actor. Very underrated Civil War movie. And if you haven't seen it, you really should get on it, because Free State of Jones is firmly number 3. Number 2, we have the 1989 movie Glory.
Here they come!
Guys, it should not surprise anyone that Glory is on this list. It stars Matthew Broderick, Morgan Freeman, and Denzel Washington. It's an Oscar-winning movie. Denzel Washington got his Oscar for this, for Best Supporting Actor. The movie tells the story of the real-life 54th Massachusetts Regiment, which was an all-black infantry regiment for the Union Army. It was one of the first black regiments in the Army. Not the first, that's a misconception, but it is one of the first colored regiments, and I really love the story. Matthew Broderick plays Robert Shaw, Colonel Shaw. And much like Free State of Jones, this doesn't show the Civil War as a bloodless affair. It's gory, it's bloody, it's graphic, it's realistic. There's a lot of really awesome, intricate historical things that people can learn about this. Or what I like about this movie is I think it's timeless in the sense that I don't think a movie like this could ever really age out because the battles are great, the performances aren't cheesy, it doesn't rely on lame, cliche stereotypes, but it showcases American patriotism, American bravery, dedication. It also does it in a way that really gives off the feeling of these people are not only fighting for their freedom and their dignity, they're risking their lives for a huge cause, and I really, really love that. Is the movie perfectly historically accurate? No, not really, but there is a lot of great historical accuracies that this movie has. The Battle of Antietam was really well done. I really loved the Battle of Fort Wagner. That was a really cool battle sequence. The music with that was amazing. Like always, Morgan Freeman was unbelievable, great in this film. And overall, it's just a very inspirational movie. It's a very great movie. It's a feel-good movie. That is why Glory is firmly number 2. Well, guys, like always, we do have an honorable mention, and the honorable mention for top 3 greatest Civil War movies of all time is going to be Gone with the Wind.
Have you room in your carriage for a dying man?
I got no room for any southern scum alive or dead. Get out of the way!
So Gone with the Wind's not really a Civil War movie, but it's almost enough to be mentioned because the Civil War drives a huge portion of the plot. It's a great movie. It's one of the greatest movies of all time. It's a timeless classic, and I think still even today, adjusted for inflation, it's the highest grossing movie ever. So yeah, Gone with the Wind. And number 1, guys, we have Gettysburg. No, I am so kidding. That is not number 1. I do not like Gettysburg. The real number 1 is the Outlaw Josey Wales.
Yeah, he's got to do something for a living these days.
Dying ain't much of a living, boy.
Guys, The Outlaw Josey Wales is a 1976 movie starring Clint Eastwood, directed by Clint Eastwood. And a lot of people might be thinking, well, this is a really weird, unusual pick for the greatest Civil War movie of all time. Because on the surface, it looks like a cowboy Wild West movie or a Clint Eastwood machismo action film.
I know.
But if you really strip away all those layers, it tells a really deep story about the American Civil War, the American experience, in a way that I think is brilliant and sublime. In fact, I actually did a video on this not too long ago explaining why I love Josey Wales. That'll be linked in the description below if you guys want to check it out. But anyway, The Outlaw Josey Wales is interesting in the fact that it actually portrays the Civil War in such a unique way because it gives us a likable protagonist who we, the audience, can empathize with and sympathize with to the point where it's a sensitive topic, it's a sensitive subject, but we can understand where he's coming from. And it also, because it's told from the Confederate point of view, it doesn't rely on cliches or stereotypes to portray the Confederacy. And it also doesn't use any of the lost cause myth garbage to try to push some sort of narrative or make us feel a specific way.
We showed these boys anyway. Lee might have had to surrender, but we sure as hell didn't, did we?
Now get in line before I kick you so hard you'll be wearing your ass for a hat.
The fact is, the movie is about a Missouri farmer during the American Civil War whose family gets killed by Union guerrillas, redlegs from Kansas. They burn his house down, they kill his family, and they leave Josey Wales, our protagonist, alive and scarred because they cut him in the face with a sword.
Redlegs? They're with the Union.
And in a rage-fueled act of revenge, he decides to join up with Confederate guerrillas to fight against the Union.
We're going up there and set things right.
I'll be coming with you.
And I'm not advocating for treason because treason's never acceptable. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of us can understand. And actually, I know where you're coming from. I don't agree with what you did, but I see why you did it. And that's why this movie is brilliant.
I guess we all died a little in that damn war.
It's also brilliant because it's got a lot of great fight scenes, a lot of really cool cowboy western tropes, but Clint Eastwood himself, he's not a cowboy, he's not a typical western outlaw. He's just a Confederate guerrilla who refused to surrender after the war, and he has to flee out west while the US government and Union troops are going after him, trying to find him.
Why, you're gonna pull those pistols and whistle Dixie.
So along the way, he is riding not only to find his freedom, but he's also getting his redemption, both literally and, I guess, spiritually, because he makes new friends. He finally is able to make peace with his past and what he did in the war. It is true to say that the war doesn't really play out a lot in the movie. I would say it's like the first 15 minutes. But the fact that it shows what the Civil War did to this country, how the country was tearing itself apart, the heartfelt emotion, the tragedy, the sadness, the damage, the trauma that this thing did to people out west was really cool. Or is shown very well. When it comes to the Civil War, I don't think it gets enough attention by Hollywood, but definitely what does not get enough attention is the Trans-Mississippi Theater, which was really brutal because the fighting and the guerrilla battles in Kansas and Missouri was really, really intense, really, really bloody.
We got something in this territory called the Missouri Boat Ride.
And it could be described as a civil war within the Civil War. So it was really cool to see how the Civil War affected Americans out west. And Clint Eastwood delivers probably one of the greatest performances of his career, and it's one of his greatest characters. That is why The Outlaw Josey Wales is firmly #1, in my opinion, the greatest movie about the American Civil War.
Name's Josey Wales.
Well, guys, that's all I have for you. Those are going to be my top 3 favorite Civil War movies. So, if you liked the video, do me a massive favor, hit that like, hit that subscribe. It costs you nothing to do so. It's totally free, and believe it or not, just one like can go a long way, and it really, really, really helps me out. Also, follow me on Instagram. That is going to be linked in the description below. If you can give me a follow, I would be very much grateful for that. I really appreciate your help and support. I'm trying to boost my follower count, and I can't do it without you guys, so any and all support will be appreciated. And if you made it this far, if you remember our deal in the intro, I'm going to be playing a 5-second clip at the end of this video. If you can identify the movie that it's from, if you can type out the title of this movie in the comments and you're the first person to do so, I will pin you to the top of the comments and give you a shout out in my next video. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next Unpopular Opinion, because the Union forever, hurrah boys, hurrah.
Sit down, Brandon!